Samsung held one of the biggest phone launches of 2026. Packed house, polished presentation, a lot of very confident marketing language. And look, the Galaxy S26 is genuinely impressive. But here's the thing about Samsung's unpacked events. What they don't say is almost always more interesting than what they do. Today, we're going through the details Samsung quietly tucked into the fine print, the specs they glossed over on stage, and the features they buried so deep in the settings menu, most people will never find them. If you already bought an S26, stay with me, because some of this is going to change how you use your phone. And if you're still deciding whether to upgrade, you're definitely going to want to hear this. Let's get into it. Here's the first thing Samsung didn't put in the headline. Not everyone is getting the same chip. In the United States, Canada, China, and Japan, the Galaxy S26 and S26 Plus run on the Snapdragon 8 Elite Gen 5. That's Qualcomm's latest, fast, efficient, and built for AI workloads. But if you're in Europe, India, Southeast Asia, or most of the rest of the world, you're getting the Exynos 2600 instead. Now, Samsung will tell you the Exynos 2600 is a massive step up from the previous generation, and they're probably right. But here's the uncomfortable truth. There's always been a real-world performance and efficiency gap between Snapdragon and Exynos chips. That gap has gotten smaller, but it hasn't disappeared. The wild part? The S26 Ultra gets the Snapdragon everywhere, worldwide, no exceptions. So Samsung's top-tier customers all get the same experience. But S26 and S26 Plus buyers in most countries are still rolling the chipset lottery, just like they have been for years. If you're buying internationally or gifting one overseas, that's worth knowing before you click checkout. Samsung spent a significant amount of time on stage talking about camera improvements on the S26. So here's a question. Can you spot the camera hardware difference between the Galaxy S25 and the Galaxy S26? Take your time. The answer is, there isn't one. On the base S26 and the S26 Plus, the camera hardware specs, the megapixel counts, the sensors, the zoom levels, are completely unchanged from last year's S25 series. 50 megapixel main, 12 ultra-wide, 10 megapixel telephoto, identical. What Samsung actually upgraded is the image processing software, the Pro Visual Engine, improved noise reduction, better dynamic range algorithms. And to be fair, software processing can make a meaningful difference. But calling it a next-gen camera system when the hardware is the same as the previous model? That's a stretch. The S26 Ultra is a different story. It gets a wider f1.4 aperture on the main lens, capturing 47% more light than before, plus a new mechanism powering the periscope telephoto. Real hardware upgrades, worth acknowledging. But for the standard S26, the camera story is mostly a software upgrade dressed up as something bigger. Samsung made a big deal out of faster charging on the S26 Ultra, 60 watts now, up from 45. And yes, that's a real improvement. 0 to 75% in about 30 minutes is legitimately useful. But here's what quietly got left off the highlight reel. The base Galaxy S26? Still 25 watts. That's the same charging speed as the S23. In 2026, when competitors are offering 65, 80, even 100-watt charging, Samsung's base model is still sitting at 25 watts. And then there's the Qi 2.2 situation. All three S26 models support the new Qi 2.2 wireless charging standard, which sounds great. But here's the catch buried in the fine print. Qi 2.2 requires built-in magnets for device alignment. The S26 series doesn't have them. Samsung left the magnets out because they interfere with the vertical camera array. So technically, you can use Qi 2.2 accessories, but they won't magnetically snap into place the way they're supposed to. You're getting the charging standard without the signature feature that makes it useful. Samsung's Galaxy AI pitch sounds simple. Smartphone, smarter AI, built right in. But scroll to the bottom of any Samsung AI feature page, and you'll find this language. Galaxy AI basic features provided by Samsung are free. Any Samsung enhanced AI features and all third-party AI features are subject to different terms and may be subject to fees. Samsung hasn't fully defined what falls into the enhanced bucket yet, but that language is doing a lot of work. AI features that are free today could sit behind a subscription in the future. It's worth keeping an eye on. Also worth noting, when you use Photo Assist to edit images with Galaxy AI, Samsung automatically resizes your output to a maximum of 12 megapixels and adds a visible AI watermark. So if you're editing a shot you care about, you're getting a downscaled, watermarked result. That's not a small detail. Okay, let's flip the script. Because buried inside the S26, especially the Ultra, are some genuinely impressive features that got almost no stage time. Horizon lock. Samsung briefly mentioned this during Unpacked, but it deserves way more attention. Horizon lock is a video stabilization mode that does something wild. Even if you physically flip the phone upside down while recording, the footage stays level. The S26 Ultra is using its high-resolution sensors and real-time image processing to crop and reframe video on the fly. It's one of the most impressive video stabilization tricks on any smartphone right now. Audio eraser on streaming apps. Audio eraser has been around for a bit. It lets you isolate and boost specific sounds in a video, like voices or music. But on the S26, it now works directly inside third-party apps like Netflix and YouTube. You don't have to leave the app. You can open Netflix, start playing a show, and activate audio eraser right from the quick settings panel. If you've ever struggled to hear dialogue over a loud action scene, this is the feature you didn't know you needed. The fingerprint accuracy tweak. This one is almost completely undiscovered. Inside your fingerprint settings, there's a new option to rescan and refine an existing saved fingerprint for improved accuracy. It's not a new fingerprint. It's a calibration pass that makes your existing ones more reliable, especially when your hands are wet, dirty, or slightly different from the original scan. It takes about 10 seconds and makes a noticeable difference. Go find it. Privacy display. But read the fine print. Samsung's privacy display is a genuinely impressive engineering achievement. Instead of a stick-on privacy filter, it's built directly into the panel itself, limiting viewing angles at a pixel level. But it's only on the Ultra. And Samsung's own documentation notes that some information may still be visible, depending on the environment and angle, and caution is advised when exposing sensitive information. So it's not a perfect solution, but it's a first-generation breakthrough, and it'll only get better. Here's the quiet win of the S26 that's getting drowned out by AI marketing. Thermal management. Samsung redesigned the internal heat dissipation system across the entire S26 lineup. The result is a phone that can sustain peak performance for longer without throttling. In practical terms, that means gaming sessions, AI processing tasks, and heavy camera use don't slow the phone down the way they might have before. It's not a feature that shows up in a keynote slide. But for anyone who's picked up their phone to find it warm and sluggish after 30 minutes of use, it's exactly the kind of problem a better thermal design solves. This is the upgrade that makes every other spec on the sheet actually perform the way it promises to. Samsung makes great phones. The S26 is a good phone. But good and honest marketing aren't always the same thing. The chipset lottery is still happening. The base model camera hardware didn't change. The charging gap between models is wider than it looks. And some of the best features on the device, Horizon lock, audio eraser on streaming apps, that fingerprint calibration trick, barely made it into the announcement at all. If this video helped you understand what you're actually getting with the S26, hit the like button and subscribe. We do this kind of deep dive breakdown on every major launch. Drop a comment. Were you aware of any of these? Or did something here surprise you? Let me know below. See you in the next one.